So guess what? The tide is turning. People have had enough, and they're starting to lift the COVID restrictions. Here we go. UK lifts COVID restrictions, say Omicron wave has peaked. I just want to, again, go over the science because people don't know what it is. You're probably going to get everyone, and this is from the FDA head and Fauci even say, they're even agreeing this. We've been telling you this for a long time, ever since we looked into COVID. We've been telling you that you can't vaccinate your way out of this. No matter how many people get vaccinated, the COVID virus is never going away. And so, and if you're vaccinated, you can still transmit the virus and you can still contract the virus. It's not like the polio vaccine. And because you never heard of polio breakthrough cases. Do you? I mean, do you hear of them? I've never heard of one. Maybe you hear of them, but I've never heard of them. I've heard of breakthrough cases all the time. In fact, I know everyone's going to get a breakthrough case of COVID because everyone's going to get Omicron. That's according to Fauci, and that's according to the FDA head. So, that's why this is all crazy, and the lockdowns cause more harm than good. And they certainly didn't stop the virus. Because now everybody is admitting you can't stop the virus. The virus is going to be here forever, and everybody is likely going to get it. So mandates, vaccine passports, they make no sense. Because if you're going to get it, who do you care if you get it from a vaccinated person or an unvaccinated person? You're all going to get it. So UK lifts, and it doesn't make sense anyway, right? Because as someone just said on this show, you can be triple vaccinated and have no symptoms and still have COVID and be transmitting it because you're an asymptomatic spreader. So UK lifts COVID restrictions, says Omicron wave has peaked. Isn't that nice? Face masks will no longer be mandatory in public places, and COVID-19 passports will be dropped for large events as infection level off in most parts of the country, said Boris Johnson over in the UK. Johnson told lawmakers that the restrictions were being eased because government scientists think it is likely that the surge of infections prompted by the highly contagious Omicron variant has now peaked nationally. Okay, what they're saying yesterday in the Washington Post was that half of Europe is going to catch Omicron in the next 6 to 8 weeks. Go ahead, Kurt.
How much is you think it was based on science or really based on Boris Johnson getting caught again with his no mask party and now they can't keep it up?
That's right.
But that's more than the science by a lot.
That's right. Kurt, you nailed it. That's right. So this is, again, all these policies that we've been seeing lately from the CDC and from Fauci and now from Boris Johnson in the UK, they seem based on politics, not really based on science, because the science hasn't changed. Okay. While hospitals in northern England still are getting pressed by high caseloads and infections were still rising in schools, Johnson said hospital admissions and patients in intensive care units elsewhere in England were stabilizing or falling. The government is no longer advising people to work from home, and compulsory face masks will be scrapped in secondary school classrooms starting Thursday. Everyone is going to get Omicron. Everyone, no matter how many days you don't go to work, no matter how many days you don't go to school, no matter how many cloth masks you wear, you are still likely to get Omicron. Everyone. So go to work and go to school. And when you feel sick, don't go to school and don't go to work, just like normal. Mandatory COVID-19 passes will not be needed to gain entry to large-scale events beginning January 27th. Face masks will no longer be legally required anywhere in England as of that day. I'm moving to England.
I can't wait to hear Howard Stern complain about this.
Oh, my God. He's going to go nuts. Oh, my God. Will we trust the judgment of the British people and no longer criminalize anyone who chooses not to wear one, Johnson said. Official figures show that COVID-19 infections have dropped in most parts of the UK for the first time since early December. The government reported 108,000 new cases on Wednesday, about half the daily number recorded over the holidays. The requirement for those infected to self-isolate for a full 5 days remains, but Johnson said the measure will also end in the coming weeks. He said while the self-isolation rules expires on March 24th, he will seek to scrap it earlier if the virus data continues to improve. Johnson and Health Secretary Sajid Javid, both, quite a name, it's like he's the Chris Christie of the UK. Sajid Javid both suggested that the government is planning for a post-pandemic period when it can treat COVID-19 more like the flu. Look out. That'll get you kicked off YouTube a couple months ago. There will soon come a time when we can remove the legal requirements to self-isolate altogether, just as we don't place legal obligations on people to isolate if they have the flu. Because Omicron, if you remember, is presenting as a very mild form of COVID. Some people are calling it a cold. Scotland and Wales, which set their own public health rules, have also announced similar easing of restrictions. So the tide is turning. Al Jazeera reports that Ireland to drop almost all COVID restrictions.
Look how happy they are.
Look at how happy they are. Ireland, because they're drunk. That's why. Yeah. Ireland is to scrap almost all its COVID-19 restrictions on Saturday after coming through the storm of the Omicron variant that led to a major surge in infections, Prime Minister Michael Martin said. Ireland had the second highest incidence rate of COVID-19 in Europe just last week, but also one of the continent's highest uptake of booster vaccines, which has helped keep the number of seriously ill people well below the previous peak. Maybe the number of seriously ill people are well below the previous peak because Omicron isn't as serious as a fucking virus as Delta. Why are you lying? Because that's what that is. We have weathered the Omicron storm, Martin said in Friday's televised address, in which he said booster vaccines had utterly transformed the situation in the country. Okay. The country has been one of the most cautious in the European Union on the risks of COVID-19, putting in place some of the longest-running restrictions on travel and hospitality. But following advice from public health officials, the government decided that bars and restaurants will no longer need to close at 8 p.m. because, you know, the virus, it only goes out at night. Is it 8:05? Oh, that virus is going to be fucking getting up now. It sleeps during the day. A restriction put in place last year when the Omicron wave struck to ask customers for proof of vaccination. And asking customers for proof of vaccination around Omicron makes zero sense, doesn't it?
Wait, did I get a computer chip in my arm in Sweden for nothing?
Here we go. Capacity in indoor and outdoor venues is also set to return to full capacity, paving the way for full crowds next month's Six Nations Rugby Championship. Some measures, such as the need to wear a mask on public transport and in shops, will remain in place until the end of February. Jesus H. effing. So there you go. That's two Ireland. I mean, yeah, that's the Ireland and England and Wales and Scotland.
I saw a story, some UK story, but supposedly, what is he, a Tory? Is that his party, Boris Johnson?
I think he is, yes.
Supposedly his own party were like, they held him hostage because he had that scandal. And like, they were like, you're going to ease this or we're not going to back you. Like he just saved his political career. Because remember, you showed the story of...
he was done because he got caught partying maskless repeatedly, right?
Like we're going to have somebody like that here get caught and like big, you know, I guess... I don't know, the head of Pfizer, somebody bigger than Joe Biden to get caught.
Somebody bigger than Joe Biden. We added a second show, January 26th in Raleigh, and we're going to be in Philadelphia on February 20th. Go to jimmydorecomedy.com for a link for all our tickets. And while you're there, become a premium member. Get access to all our premium videos.